Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
I'm Uriah. For math homework, help call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done. So Uriah, where do you attend school?
Lakeside.
And how was Lakeside?
It's okay.
Now, I heard last week from a friend of yours, I think, he goes to Lakeside also, that you guys have a pool at Lakeside.
Yeah, we do.
How awesome is that? Do you guys ever get to use the pool?
Only for 1 month.
Oh, well, you know what? Guess how long you get to use it more than other kids? 1 month, right? Because most schools don't have a swimming pool, right? What grade are you in right now?
6th.
How is 6th grade?
It's okay.
Well, that's fine. You can say it's okay. So what's okay about it? Is there anything you like more than anything else in
pickleball.
So what do you like?
PE.
And what about PE do you like?
Pickleball.
Pickleball. So what can you tell me about pickleball? Because this is a relatively new sport, but a lot of kids may not be familiar with it.
You just hit a ball.
Okay. So you hit a ball, all right. Is it like a tennis racket? Or is it smaller?
It's like a ping pong.
Like ping pong, right? Now ping pong is on a table. Is pickleball on a table?
No.
So it's on a court.
Yeah.
Would it be something like life-size ping pong?
Yeah.
Okay. And you
You're
like
standing
playing
on the table.
pickleball?
There you go.
Yeah.
You getting pretty good at it?
No.
No? Well, that's why you keep playing it, right? So are there other activities at PE that you like, or is pickleball like the fun one right now?
Pickleball.
You like pickleball?
Yeah.
All right, well, good. Well, you know what? It's always fun.
And swimming.
And swimming. Well, yeah, you better say that because you guys have a pool at your school, right? I mean, no other schools, I think, have pools at their schools. I don't even think high schools
Nope, they
have
do not.
pools at their schools.
That's right.
So I think it's Lakeside, Bakersfield College, CSUB. Those are the only three places, I think, that are actually schools. Yeah. Oh, Rio Bravo, I'm being told. Rio Bravo has a pool. You can tell how often I'm at Rio Bravo, right? Congratulations to Rio Bravo for having a pool out there. So,
I venture to say that maybe half the schools in Kern County now have a small pool out in front of their
yeah,
out in front of
they
their
call
school
those
at the
ponds
moment.
also and
Yeah.
stuff like that. We were driving. It's funny because you say that because we went to lunch at Chick-fil-A today,
Right.
And in one corner of the lot where it's landscaped and stuff is kind of a little bit lower, and they've got an actual pond out by Chick-fil-A that's coned off and stuff because of all the weather that we've been having and all of the rain. Do you like all the rain that we've been having? Come right up here.
No.
Everybody wants to see you, son.
No, I do not like the rain.
You do not like the rain?
No.
What don't you like? I mean, is it just a pain to get through all the time, or you're just not used to it? Or
I have to walk home.
you have to walk home. There you go. Well, you know, when Scott and I were younger, and probably John, we used to have to walk in the snow uphill 3 miles and
Both
then
ways.
walk back uphill 3 miles. Have you ever heard adults talk like that?
No.
No, now you have. A big
There
day
you
for
go.
it. All right. So anyway, it's well, most of the days you do not have to walk home in the rain, correct?
Yeah.
And you have a pool at your school, so that kind of makes up for walking home in the rain, right? You ready to do some math today?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do one together, all right? So this is the problem of the day that is posed. Remember when you said all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube? So what we do is we put a problem of the day out on that social media all the time, and then people, kids, adults, everybody, they submit their answers to see if they can get the problem of the day correct. So you and I are going to work on this together. So it says 10x plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 9. Have you ever seen a problem like that before?
No.
No. Okay. Well, guess what? You're in 6th grade now, right? When you go to 7th grade and 8th grade, you're going to see problems like that. So how about we do this one together? You ready?
Yes.
All right. So we know that 10x plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 9. Is there anything weird in that problem that seems off to you or new because you've never done a problem like that?
Yeah.
What does?
Usually there would just be 10 plus x minus 3 equals 9.
Right. So the x's are a little bit weird, right?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a number in front of that
Now, if we have 10x plus 2x, what do you think we should do with that?
10x plus 2x, add them.
Okay, add them up. So if we have 10x plus 2x, what will we end up with?
12.
12x. So now, just think about it. We have 12x minus 3 is equal to 9. Now, what we want to do is they say isolate the variable, which means keep the letters on one side and all the numbers on the other side of the equal sign, so that you have things balanced. So if we have a minus 3, and they're over there with the letters, we want to get rid of that. So how do we get rid of, what's the opposite of minus 3?
Minus 3 plus 3.
Plus 3. So we're going to plus 3 on both sides. So now we have 12x equals, what's 9 plus 3?
9 plus 3, that's 12.
There you go. So now we have 12x is equal to 12. You got it so far? All right. Now, if we have 12x, that means 12 times something. Now, 12 times what is equal to 12?
1.
1, right? So we're going to guess that x is 1, because 12 times 1 is equal to 12. When we have 12x, and they're right next to each other, it means they're being multiplied. That's why 12 times something is going to be equal to 12. But if it's not that easy, where the answer might be 1, you want to divide by whatever's in front of the x. So if we went 12 divided by 12, what would that be?
12.
What's 12 divided by 12?
12 divided by 12, isn't it 12?
Well, if I had, look, think about 2. How many times can I divide 2 into 2?
Once.
Once.
Oh, so it's 1.
There you go, right? So you're
Oh.
trying to think too much about it, right? So 12 divided by 12 is 1. So that's a way to check it also, and we can take a look over on the board. Scott wrote it out as you were talking
Oh,
about
I've just
it.
been looking at that.
Smart guy.
All right, Slickster. Looking at that, that's not what you, that's for me to look at, not for you to look
But
at.
it's in my view.
Got to use your
Well, then,
resources.
there you go. Use your tools. Use your tools. All right. So let's take a look right there. So see how we had 12x equals 12 written in black?
Yeah.
And then what he did is he divided both of them by 12. And you said 12 divided by 12 was 1, which is 1x. And then 12 divided by 12 is 1. And then we can check it. 12 times 1 is 12, isn't it? Now go all the way back up to the top, the original problem. You see where the x is
Yes.
next to the 12?
Yes.
What is 12 times 1?
12.
12 minus 3 is?
12 minus 3 is 9.
There you go. So that way it works. So let's take a look at the options that we have up here. A, B, C, and D.
A.
You think it's A? Why do you think it's A?
Minus 1.
Because it says x is minus 1. Now C says x is 1. So is x 1 or negative 1?
Oh, it's C.
It's C?
Yeah.
Okay, now you've said A and you've said C, and in between there you said O. O's not an option. So are we going to go with A or C?
C.
You're going with C. This is your last opportunity. I've got to let you change it again one more time. What do you like to go with?
C.
All right, let's see if you are correct with C. There you are, nicely done. All right, dude, 1 for 1 on the show today, all right? Feel pretty good about that? No?
Because I got it wrong.
Well, you almost got it wrong, but you corrected yourself, right? Because when you did the problem, you said 1. So you did get it correct.
Yeah.
So when you get in 7th and 8th grade and when you start doing problems like that, hopefully you remember, you're like, oh yeah, I remember the old man made me do one of these problems on there, and now I kind of remember what to do. All right? Nicely done. Hey, we usually have phone tutors available from 3:30 to 5:30 on most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Time now for today's Math in the News. All right, this is a big day because Math in the News, we always talk about what is in the news and going on currently in and around Bakersfield, Kern County, and the world for that matter, based on whatever I decide to bring you that day. And today we are fortunate enough to have in studio with us Janessa and Brian. How are you guys today?
Good, and you?
I'm wonderful myself, thank you. Thanks for being here, first of all. You are part of Youth Voice Amplified, correct?
Yes.
And what is Youth Voice Amplified?
It is a space, a podcast necessarily, for youth to tell their stories and be a voice of change in their community.
Okay, so it's a podcast.
Yes.
All right. And podcasts are things that you usually need to take a little bit of time to build it up, get it cohesive, figure out exactly what you want, and then be able to present it for people to participate in. So how long have you been working on Youth Voice Amplified?
Since the summer of summer 22, so we've been working on it for a while, but we recently released our first episode in February.
Okay, so you've been working on it for a while, and is it just the two of you? Are you guys both part of the podcast?
Yes, we're the podcast hosts.
Okay, so you two are the hosts, and are there other people, or is it just, it's you two running and you doing everything?
Yeah, it's youth-led, so yeah, youth-led, youth-produced, and youth-hosted.
All right, so you guys are youth.
Yes.
I'm not youth anymore, okay? So what made you guys come up with this idea, first of all?
Well, you know, sometimes there's pretty much youth that go through things that aren't necessarily, you know, heard or not listened to, and, you know, me being a former foster youth, I feel like we can definitely help like youth project their voice because it's not listened to or heard at times, and we just wanted to amplify their voice and give them a platform to share their story.
Gotcha. Now, when we talk about youth, because we have Uriah who's on the show, and he's a youth, but he's not quite old enough to be a youth that you're targeting, correct? Or is he? It's for, let me know.
It's for all ages, honestly, for youth who are in school, for youth who are our age. It's
Okay.
for youth to really find their voice and be able to champion their voice.
Okay. And the first episode came out a
February
couple of
14th.
weeks ago, right? And so what went on during the podcast? Like, what kinds of things were you guys addressing and talking about?
The first episode, we talked about ourselves and who we are and why we started our podcast. We call it our why episode.
The why, right? Much like I'm doing, right? Why is this happening and why do you need this? So what are some of the topics that you want to address or will address on future podcasts?
So I'm gonna just give a brief overview of the episodes we have out now. So
Okay.
we, in general, want to address our foster and homeless population, but it's much more than that. So our first episode was our why, and our second episode was a youth and living, pretty much being homeless during the pandemic. And then our third episode was with an adult ally, and she kind of just voiced her thoughts about student voice within schools. And then our fourth episode was interviewing a youth with living with the chronic illness of diabetes type 1. So.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that youth are going to be able to glean from this podcast.
Yes.
How long is the podcast? I know because there are a lot of ones that have different lengths and things like that. Are you guys kind of consistent in how long they are?
We try to keep it consistent, 40, 45 minutes.
Okay, and how often are they available? Like how often do you do them and release them so that people can listen to them?
We do once a month, the first Wednesday of the month.
So the first Wednesday of the month. And where should people go to find this podcast?
We are on all podcast streaming platforms.
And
so
it's
Spotify.
Youth Voice Amplified.
Yes.
Okay, that's important because people are going to go, well, how do I find it? Where is it? And stuff like that. Why is it important for a youth's voice to be amplified? Because obviously they can be heard, but a little more than that.
I think it's important personally for me is because as a child, I struggled with math. And that's why I was kind of afraid of coming on here because I can't do math. I'm not very good at it.
All right, now hold on, sister, okay? Because we're in our 21st season right now, all right? And you can't be over 30.
No.
No, you're not. You're like, I'm not even near 30, right?
Whoa.
So you've been alive as long as Do the Math has been going on.
Yes.
And you were afraid to come on the show.
Yes.
Why?
Because I struggled when I was young really hard with math. And I didn't learn how to multiply until I turned 20. So throughout my whole high school years, middle school and elementary, I did not know how to multiply. So
So no matter what strategies were presented to you, it just didn't click.
none of it clicked. It was hard for me to hold on to that skill of multiplying. So I think that is a main reason why Youth Voice Amplified is so important. We want to amplify youth to be able to get up and tell people like, hey, I'm struggling hard with this. You're teaching me one way and I don't understand it. Can you try another way?
So you're giving them strategies to help themselves.
We want them to amplify their voice, to champion their voice.
Okay. And do you have a story like that also, or are you cool to come on and do the math with you?
How?
I was actually pretty good at math, but with as far as foster youth, you know, I feel like with math it may be a little difficult for them because with the kids we're trying to adjust, like our foster and homeless, a lot of them miss schools because they have obstacles in their way, and you know they may like miss something in math, and since they're absent from school so much with chronic absenteeism, you know, it may be difficult for them to catch up and learn math. So
Right, I was going to say, because of foster youth, you're already a little behind others because of that fact in itself.
Yes.
But then when you go to another school, and then you don't know when you're going to another neighborhood and another school at some point in the future, there's a transition time there where the student just wants to feel as though they belong to the school, first of all, let alone, I don't care if I know how to do the math yet. I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable where I'm at. So you're losing a little bit there. And then the way that different schools may be presented, and then maybe they're not all on the same page at the same time. They're going in different directions, possibly. So that's kind of hindering their learning a little bit also. And especially when it comes to math, because it is a language that you need to practice, right? But you need to be comfortable with it also in the first place in order to practice it and understand what is being presented to you.
And the youth have to be comfortable with asking for help and explaining, hey, I need a little more help on this, or maybe a different way you could teach me.
So is there something that you guys remember doing that you remember, yeah, you know what, this is when I spoke up and I amplified my voice, a particular time that maybe for you personally?
Yeah, so like when I was learning math, even though I was fairly good at it, I honestly learned different ways other than the way my instructor taught me. So I think that was a pivotal way of me learning math, because not everyone learns math the same.
Right, because I mean, the three of us are up here, I could put a problem on the board and we could do it 3 different ways. All right, and they all come out to be the same answer, but we're going to have a different way of going about it, and there's no right or wrong, correct, incorrect, whatever you want to say, way about doing the problem. It's often been said that if you can do 3 problems and do them quickly, that's great. But if you can do one problem 3 different ways, it's even better. And I think that's probably a big message for the youth that you're trying to get across to, that in order to amplify your voice, you need to be heard, and that's what the podcast is for.
Yes.
Yep.
To amplify their voice. And you guys, I know you brought something in for Uriah, and this I thought was pretty sweet, right? You brought in a bag, and it's filled with some goodies for Uriah right there. And I know that we have some footage of you guys in action.
Yes.
And let's take a look at some right now. So that studio looks familiar, right?
Yep.
And you guys are doing the podcast. And what are you guys discussing? Do you remember what you were discussing there?
Yeah, just some points we had to get across in our podcast, pretty much like, you know, we format it and we put a lot of time into our interviews and things like that. So we're just kind of going over that.
And we put so much time into it to value these youth stories.
So the stories, are these things that you guys go out and find, or they're being, how do you find out about these stories?
We usually go to them first. And
Okay, I was going to say, you've got to go someplace, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we go to them first and we ask them if they are willing and open to share their stories, to reach out to the other generations.
And do you find most are open to that?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Well, good. And this is brand spanking new, about a half a year in the works, right? You've got a couple of episodes that you've worked on already and have been released. We've got the website down there. Your podcast is available on any place that you can get other podcasts, right? And it's Youth Voice Amplified. And it's, do you guys do all of your podcasts in the studio?
For the most part,
Yes.
yeah.
For the most part,
Yeah, sweet. That's awesome. To do the math is part of that also. But you know what? I'm very happy that you guys were able to take some time, come down and talk to us, and especially for you talking about your struggles with math and how you learn math. and it may not be the same way for everybody, but as long as you get something where you feel comfortable with it and you go, you know what, I feel a little bit better about it, and I spoke up about it. And that's the main point, I think, of the podcast, is it not?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Speaking up for yourself and being able to not kind of shy away or cower away from that, but to kind of like, you know, stand up, amplify your voice. You don't have to do it in a disrespectful way, but there's a lot of ways to do it. But let people know that you're there, you're to be valued, and this is what I have to say.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, sweet. There we go. And I want to thank you guys also, because I know that you also brought in, because Scott gets thirsty every once in a while, and also a water bottle right there. So don't forget, Youth Voice Amplified, anywhere that you get podcasts, you can listen to Janessa and Brian, and a big thanks for them coming in today. We'll be back with more right after this.
Thank you, sir. I'm your host, Janessa.
And I'm your host, Brian.
This is how the Youth Voices
The coolest detectors researchers are using to study the cosmos. Buried deep in the ice are over 5,000 ball-like sensors that can detect subatomic particles called neutrinos. Neutrinos originate in some of the least understood cosmic events like supernovas and black holes, so studying them isn't exactly a cakewalk. The South Pole is one of the premier sites for astronomy. At more than 9,000 feet of elevation, the thin, dry air and 6 months of darkness during the winter make for ideal conditions to observe the sky. The South Pole Telescope, or SPT, is one of dozens of telescopes that researchers have used to study the sky. SPT is also part of a network of telescopes around the world to answer some of the toughest cosmic questions. As part of this network, SPT played a role in the first image of a black hole.
Welcome to the coldest, driest desert on our planet, Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys. Shaped by millions of years of geologic change, the ice-free ecosystem supports only microscopic animal and plant life. But hidden under the rocky surface may be a different world. With support from the National Science Foundation, an international team of scientists explored what lies beneath the valleys. They used a novel system called SkyTem. Mounted on a helicopter, this sensor sends an electromagnetic signal into the Earth. This signal then changes depending on what material lies below the surface before being picked up by another SkyTem sensor. After analyzing the electromagnetic signals, the team found that brines, or aquifers of salty water, lie below this dry valley. Salty water that could support previously unknown microbial ecosystems and retain evidence of ancient climate change. A discovery of microbial life existing in such extreme conditions could provide hope that deep beneath Mars's dry deserts, a similar ecosystem exists.
In studio, we have Uriah, a 6th grade student from Lakeside School, and he has a pool at his school. And you like playing pickleball during PE?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Well, you know what? It's about time that you do a little bit more math. And the first problem that we did mental math. We kind of thought about it and talked about it. Scott wrote down what we were talking about, and we verified that we were correct. But now it's time for you to do some other math that you're actually working on. You ready? Head on over to the board.
Okay.
So the first number that we'll put up there will be, let's see, I'm looking at the clock. Let's go 165. 165.
Pretty close.
Yeah, you can erase it and make a 5 better. There you go.
I can't.
You can make a nice
It's almost
5.
like a pencil. You can just make it, fix it up, no big deal.
I know, the thing is I can't really write a 5.
There you go. All right. There are 3 of us in here that are actually on air out of 6 people in here, and there's 4 males, so we're going to go 364.
Right below it. There you go.
And I'd like you to multiply those numbers in any way that you feel comfortable.
Now tell me what you're doing. Whoa, where are the numbers coming from? What do you got?
5 times 4.
Okay, good. 5 times 4.
That's
And then you put a 0 here and carry to 2. All right, keep on going. Keep on telling me what's going on there in your head, because we want to know if someone looked at this and didn't know what they were doing, you can probably show them what to do. So what are you doing now?
Multiplying this, which is 24.
Okay.
And then you got to bring down this. So 4 plus 2, that's 6.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, so we got 6 times 4 here, plus 2 more is 26. 6 goes here, and the 2 goes up top. Good for you. All right,
Yep.
keep on going.
So we could cross that out.
Okay,
And then
because
4
we've already
times
used
1.
that one. Yeah,
4 times 1, that's 4, plus 2, that's another 6.
good.
So
Okay.
600. And then we got to add a 0 before we start.
Okay,
Cross
so
this
tell me
out.
about that 0 part that you just wrote down there. Because this was a 0 as well, but it came from 5 times 4. But where does this one come from?
This one, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's kind of just this method that you learned, right?
Yeah.
One of the ways you can think about it is, you're now going to multiply times 6,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's not really a 6, it's really a 60, because this number is 364. And 60 has a 0 at the end, so you got to put a 0 on the end before you start multiplying. So that's kind of where it comes. When I used to teach this in class, I would also put an X there, so students would know that it's a placeholder. It represents a 0 as far as the digits, but it really isn't a true 0. It's just we're multiplying times the tens place. So what are you going to do now?
First off, I'm going to erase this because...
Oh, good idea. So you don't get confused about the other ones, right?
Yeah.
So we've already used those, so we're not using them again. All right, what are you going to multiply?
6 times 5, because
Good.
every time we do one of these numbers, we have to move on. So 6 times 5, that is...
Hooray for fingers, we like it.
30.
Nothing wrong with that. 30, good. So you carry the 3 and drop the 0. We got another 0, but that's a real 0. Good for you.
And then 6 times 6, that's 46.
Well, 36, pretty close.
30.
That's all right.
36.
But then you have to add that 3 in there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So what's the number that goes down? You already carried the 3. That was good.
that's 9.
Okay, good.
And then 6 times 1, that's 6, plus 3, that's another 9.
Good. All right, so what goes on the next row? Yeah, and you can put a 0 there. Now tell me why you did 2 of them based on what I told you last time. Why are those space holders? What are we multiplying by now?
3.
Right, we're multiplying by 3, but it's not really 3. It's multiplying by what?
Multiplying
3.
by
What place value is that in?
the ones.
No. The 9's in the 1's, right? Or sorry,
yeah.
the 4's in the 1's. This is the 10's. What is this
the
spot?
hundreds.
So we're really multiplying times 300, right?
Oh, so that's why they do it. So
That's why they do it. Isn't that cool? So now you know what to do, and you know why it's being done. And that, for some math students, is really important. Tell me why you're doing this. I don't know, just do it. Well, now you're not just doing it, you're doing it because you know why.
Oh my
Pretty
God.
cool, Yeah, that's fun. Look at that. Smiling, laughing. Math is a great time. I love it.
I have no clue what to say now.
Ah, that's all right. You're learning stuff.
So 3
tell me
times
what you're
5,
multiplying. 3
15.
times 5, right?
Yeah.
Got the
15.
5 there. Good. Carried the 1. Keep on going.
So then we're going to do 3 times 6. That's
Good.
18.
Yep. But hold on. You got that 1, right? 3 times
Oh, yeah,
6
so
is
we-
18 plus 1 more is 19.
This is,
So don't forget the 1 you carried.
this is why I came here.
This is great. This is why we're here, no
So
doubt.
we add
You knew what you're doing. You carried the 1. Good. One more.
that. And then we're going to do 3 times that. That's 3 plus the 1. That's
Good deal.
4.
Now, you've done all that stuff, and what are you going to do at the end here? We're going to add them all together.
Add.
So we're
That
really
looks like a
adding, now check this out. We're really adding 4 plus 60 plus 300, right? 364. 300 plus 60 plus 4. So once you multiply times all those things, you're adding those together. So that's why you're doing that at the end. You're adding those because you're adding each of the pieces of the bottom number. All right, let's see what happens when you do that.
0, 6, and then 5 plus 9. That would be 14. So you got to carry the 1.
Hold on, you got the 6 there though too. Don't forget about the 6.
Oh,
You got to add all 3 numbers together, right?
yep. So then that'll be 14. So you would put 1 right there plus 6. That's 20. So there would be 2. And
Okay.
then put the 0.
Good.
And then 9 plus 9. That's 18.
Yeah.
Plus 2. So there would also be 2 right here.
Yeah,
and then
another 0.
And
Good.
2 plus 6. 4 is 6.
Good. Now, here's maybe the hardest part of the day. Which of these numbers are 6s and which ones are 0s? Because they're looking a little similar, huh? Which one's which? So tell me, is the first one a 0 or a 6?
0.
0. How about this one?
6.
That's a 6. How about this one? That's the hard one to figure out, huh? There's a 0, that's right. I'm not trying to pick on you, I promise. We just want to really make sure we know what numbers we're talking about. So could you rewrite this answer right here, okay, right next to it, and make it nice and clear so we know exactly what the number is that you came up with as an answer? 60, comma, good. Good. Now, can you tell me what that number is if you had to say it in words?
60,060.
That's it. Great job. That's wonderful. That method will work every time. And that's one of the ways that I learned how to do it when I was learning, one of the ways I teach it. Do you know any other way to multiply? If you had to multiply 165 times 364, is there any other way you could possibly do it? Do you know another way to do it? How about a calculator? That's a way to do it, right?
That's cheating.
But if you didn't have one, not necessarily cheating, but it's maybe a quick way where you're not learning as much. Would you mind if I showed you another way to do it?
Yes.
Because there's a really cool way to do it. Some people would really like to see a picture of their work. And I'm one of those people that thinks that it is best, if you can, to draw out as much as you can any math problem that you're doing. Not just geometry problems, but any math problem that you're doing, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two numbers here. We're going to put them on different sides of this square, okay? So the first number is 165, right? Now we talked about what those numbers really represent. The 5 represents a 5. What does the 6 really represent?
60.
60. I'm going to make that into a 60, right? What about the 1?
100.
That's exactly it. Because really, like you said, it's 100 plus 60 plus 5. So tell me what I can put over here for the number 364. What can I put here?
300.
Good.
60.
60.
Is that 4?
It is a 4. That's it. And that's exactly the numbers we're looking at. Now, what we've created here, and this is really kind of a plus sign, what we've created here is we've created a picture or like a multiplication chart. You remember seeing those when you were learning your multiplication tables? It's like a multiplication table, and we can start to multiply things together. This is really cool. I can already see the sparkle in your eye. It's going to be fun. I'm going to do a couple, and then you're going to fill out the rest of the chart for me, okay?
Okay.
All right. What is 300 times 5?
300 times 12.
That's a lot. Well, here's a quick way to do it. What's 3 times 5?
15.
15.
So 15,000.
1,500, because it's got a couple
1,500,
zeros on the
yeah.
end. So you see, we have a lot of really big numbers, but they're not too hard to multiply because they have some zeros. Let's do one more. What's 300 times 60? 3 times 6?
18.
18. And how many zeros? 1, 2,
3.
3, because
So
you got to use that one too, right? 1, 2, 3.
1,800.
18,000, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to make sure you include all those zeros.
Okay.
All right? Now you're going to do one. Let's do 60 times 5. We'll put that answer right there. What's 60 times 5?
300.
That's it. Go ahead and write it in there. Because 6 times 5 is 30. And you added one more zero for the 60. Great job so far. How about 60 times 60? That's going to go right there.
60 times 60. Is it?
What's 6 times 6? That's the one you learned from the last
6 times 6,
one.
that's 36.
That's
so
36.
Would it be 3,600?
That's it, yeah, because you have 1, 2 zeros. Good job. Go ahead and write that in there. Great work. Okay, how about down here? What's 5 times 4? Goes in that box right there.
Oh, 20.
20. Pretty quick. 4 times 60?
100. Oh, wait, no. 2,400?
Not quite. Only 1 0 we're going to do there. Okay, so here's the way I do it. I like to do 4 times 6 and write that number in there, 2, 4. Don't worry about the zeros at all. And then go back and count up the zeros. There's no zeros here. There's 1 0 here, so add 1 0 to that. All right, so now we have a column where we're going to have a lot of zeros, right? Let's start at the bottom. What's 4 times 100?
400.
Write it in there. Whoa, you moved it, but that's all right. It still stayed in the same box. That's kind of nice. I wish I knew how to do that. I could do it again. What's 60 times 100?
60 times 100 is
Use my
6,
method. That's right. 6 times 1. Good. And 1, 2, 3 zeros. Now here's the biggest one of all in the whole chart, right? 300 times 100.
30,000?
That's it. Go ahead and write it in there. Good work. 30. Good. And then how many zeros? 1, 2, 3. That's it. Good job. All right. So we've done a lot of multiplying, right? And you did some multiplying here, and you had a bunch of numbers and not so many zeros. But I would be tempted to say that this really wasn't all that hard multiplying, right? It just required some zeros.
Yeah.
But this is like carrying a number, and you got to make sure you add it back in and all that stuff. This is a picture of what's going on, and maybe not so hard to multiply. Now here's what's happened. You already did the multiplication over here. What did you do at the end of the problem?
I added it all together.
You added it all together.
So is that what we're going to do then?
That's it. We've already done all the multiplication, and now we're going to add them together.
That's a lot of numbers.
It is a lot of numbers, no doubt. Do you think you can do it?
How about if you just take the middle section where he multiplied and erase that middle section of the board, because he has his answer all the way on the far right.
All right, there you go. So we'll just
So
take
that
this
way he
part
can
right here.
add in the center there.
Hey, look at that. All right, let's add them together. Do you have a fast way you want to add, or you just want to line all 9 numbers up? What's the best way to put them together, you think?
I was just adding them.
Line them up. Do it. Just go. Yeah, you can go ahead and just start writing them all down right there.
I could just use this side, I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
that'll work. Just keep your hand off the board there so it doesn't
Yeah.
get too goofed up. So you want to add these 3 numbers together? Good. 1820. Good. You're adding those together. All right. So there's one of them. We're still going to have to add that to whatever's in this column, right?
Plus.
Tell me what you're adding. You're adding 18 and 3?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's do it. 18 and 3 is 21. So you can go and put a 21 there. Good.
21 and then 6.
And the 6 is going to be added to the 2, right? The 6 will be added to the 2.
Oh, yeah.
So you just got to make sure to put it in a row. So sometimes it's better to put them all in a new line so that you make sure you line them all up together, right?
So then.
6 and 2? What's that?
That's 8.
Good. And then there's just 40, right? Good. So far, so good. And then we have a really big number over here. So we got 30,000, right? 30 plus 6 is 36,000.
I feel like this one's the easiest.
You think so?
Yeah.
So what do you get? 36,000 and what? 36,400. It is the easiest because they kind of line up. You don't have to add them together. Now, here's your final step, right? 36,400. 21,840. And the last one, 1,820. And your last step is to add all of those together.
So. Oh, I keep forgetting about that.
That's all right.
And that would be.
Adding those together, good.
Yeah.
8 plus 8 is?
8 plus 8 is 16.
Good. Plus 4 more?
4, that'll be.
Good. And you carry what? A 2, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget to carry that 2 up there.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't want to
And
forget
you'll
that part.
Also add a 1 up here.
That's right.
And then, so
It's almost like it's the same answer, huh? Look at that. So depending on how you look at a problem and depending on how comfortable you are with multiplying or not comfortable with multiplying, you might want to see a picture of what's going on. This is 9 numbers instead of like you had 3, but the multiplication isn't nearly as difficult and you don't have to worry about carrying numbers and all that stuff and you're really good at adding. So just another way to present the same exact problem with the same exact answer, but done differently.
All right, nicely done. So 2 different ways to multiply the same numbers. And guess, Uriah, how many other ways there are to multiply?
Hundreds?
Probably, right? But anyway, you did some great work so far this afternoon. And for your great work, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Chick-fil-A. So congratulations on that. We'll be back with a special guest right after this.
I'm going to the bottom of the earth, you know, big, vast, frozen continent, Antarctica.
Stepping off the plane for the first time is an experience that I don't think there are words for.
It's really cool to come down here. My first time. It was, you know, it's still the same every time.
It was really like going from a dream into reality.
While for the most part you forget where you are, all you need is like that one good storm to remind you that you are sort of living out on the edge of where humans find it comfortable.
So we're at Waste Divide collecting an ice core.
Each ice core is like a little time machine, if you will, or a little history book.
What we do know from ice cores is that climate has varied over time.
We're basically getting this ice core to see what's happened in the past, so perhaps we can infer what may happen in the future.
One of the main reasons that we would want to understand or be able to put the present or the future in context with the past is so that we know how humans can adapt to changes that might impact our food supply or our water supply. Basic fundamental needs for life. If you step back and you look at it in the big picture, it's a really important project. And we're all down here because we're invested in one part of it, but the work can be monotonous. We have to be detail-oriented, and that's important, but doing that for 3 months, day in and day out, often without a break, requires that we insert a little bit of fun and creativity into the job.
Left hand blue!
You're in a camp with, 30, 40 people, and those are your newest, best friends for that amount of time.
I mean, I think the overarching story with Antarctica is the fact that community is such an integral part of having fun.
We tend to instill a lot of laughter into our work because it's pretty much required to stay sane, but also because we just established such great relationships being here and being in such close quarters with one another.
I don't know, once every probably 8-9 days maybe. The thing about taking a shower here is to shower or do laundry or even have water to drink, you have to shovel and melt snow. What is it, like a 5-minute shower is one 30-gallon garbage can of snow or something like that? You're really just always hustling. You get off work and there's still work to do just for everyday necessities. But it's worth it because we get such good data and such valuable science out of this ice core.
Being at Waste Divide is a different level of intensity.
I would say compared to other experiences in my life, this is one of the best ones I've ever had.
It's fantastic.
Every day when I wake up, I look outside of my tent and I look at nothing but the ice sheet before me. And every day I take a deep breath and know that more than anything, it is a real privilege to be a part of this project.
There you go, a little bit about life on the ice and what that is like. Hey, we have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Right now we're going to go back in time a little bit and visit with somebody that was part of the show when we first began. So he was part of the show with us. And Harlan, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Michael. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. It was great to see you at the conference that was held in Bakersfield just recently. And you were with Do the Math back when we very first started 21 seasons ago. So Harlan, how did you get involved with Do the Math when you were in Bakersfield?
Well, I was teaching at Greenfield Middle School, and I remember one day walking into the teacher's lounge and there was a paper on the desk or on the table there, and it said something about a new program starting up, and it was going to be telephone tutoring and television tutoring, and I didn't know much about it, but it sounded interesting, so I filled out an application, sent it in, and got an interview from that.
Yeah, I was going to say, none of us knew anything about it, but we all saw the flyers, like go apply for these things, right? And I think somebody at my school said, we need you to go down and see what this is and apply for it and see what happens, right? So you obviously were part of season 1, and I don't know if we have the photograph that we can show. I know that we have some video and stuff like that, but anyway, we do have because this is the 21st season of Do the Math, and I don't know if you remember that shot, but there was you, myself, Cece, we had James. You remember James and Fran?
I still have that picture in my classroom.
Oh, good. All right. So I think they're bringing it in, and we're actually going to put it up under the on the camera right here. Let me zoom out a little bit if I can and autofocus it. the best I can. So I think I've got it where we're all in there. You able to see that right there?
That's it. That's the one. I've got that up in my classroom. I was showing it to my students today.
Yeah, there you go, front and center right there. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, it still is fun. But so how long were you with the program, Do the Math?
I was on for 4 years.
Okay. And during the 4 years, how did you see the show evolve from when we first began? Because it was quite hectic in here that first year.
Oh, the first year I remember we spent time learning how to do makeup on ourselves and
there we are.
doing all sorts of different things. And most of us didn't have a clue what we were doing. We were just kind of stumbling our way around the studio. And we had a lot of fun. But it's grown. And from watching it today, it has grown immensely. I'm very impressed with what you guys have done so far.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad that you were able to help us start off back in year one and be with us during those formative years. So you were in Bakersfield working for the Greenfield District, and then you moved up north in the Valley. So where are you now?
When I moved up, I live in Fresno, but I am teaching at Sanger High School, and I've been there. This is my 18th year. I have taught just about every single math class available. Currently, I am teaching a class called Integrated Math Enrichment 1, and it is a support class for Integrated Math 1, so it's for freshmen who are struggling. I'm trying to do some enrichment with them, just some extra stuff with them to help them be better in their math class, and just helping them to pass their class. I mean, I review for tests with them. I build the basic skills, even just down to learning to multiply again. Because some of them, through the COVID years, they've lost a lot, and so I'm trying to rebuild that in my students.
Well, good. I think they have one more clip. So we're going to watch this one together. There's some audio with this. I don't even know what we're going to see. Here we go.
And 75 times 360. Do you know what that is off the top of your head? Say no, because I don't either. But I'm going to ask Michael.
Here we go.
Michael knows what 75 times.
Just like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz after he got his brain. It's going to come up to me quickly. 27,000.
You're sure?
Okay, except the Tin Man didn't go to the wizard for a brain.
Oh, he wanted a heart.
God.
Scarecrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
with
Anyhow.
amateurs.
All right, I've got it.
I wanted to do something very quickly.
Cece's working a different way here, I think.
Yes, very much. Although I'd like to know what the lion went to go get from the wizard.
The lion. A little
Courage. Ah ha ha.
Oh,
see,
see,
he
Tyler
knows. Golly, can't understand.
It was nice. We had a little, I actually remember that day now that I see it again, doing all the things about the Wizard of Oz. But it was funny because, were you here when Chuck Kropp was here also?
Yes, I think he was there my last year or two.
Right, and he was a teacher at West High, and he was with us for a number of years, and he actually texted me during the show yesterday, and I said that you were going to be a guest on today's program, so he was excited to hear about that, and he goes, oh yeah, I remember you and Harlan, there were three of you guys were all great together. Who was that other person? I go, Cece. And this is Cece's first year back from back then also. So it's like a family reunion all again, Harlan.
It's great to see everybody.
So Harlan, if you could do me a favor and maybe in about 30 seconds, tell us a little bit about FAME.
FAME is the Fresno and Madera Math Educators, and we are a math affiliate. We are an affiliate of California Math Council, and I am the president, and we gather twice a year, generally in fall and then again in spring. We hold events. We're trying to grow the program right now, but it's a networking program, and it's kind of a mini PD when we get together, the professional development. We have pizza, we have soda, and then we talk math, and we're just trying to build networking amongst math teachers and get math more recognized in the Valley.
There you go. So you know what? The more things we could do in math and make kids more comfortable with it, show them different ways to do it, and show them that all of the ways that they're approaching math are valued and that we're here to help them with that also. What is a big thing since you've been teaching for, let's just put it at over 20 years, because we don't want to, big thing that you've seen from when you started to now?
Wow, and I've been there a long time. The biggest thing I see is, I hate to be negative, but there's a lack of respect in the classroom from students. There's a lot of technology, and there's a lot of technology being used for technology's sake, and it doesn't always help the program, but there's some great ways of using technology. Personally, I'd rather go back to chalkboard myself.
All right, well, you know what? I know that they probably, you probably go on Amazon or eBay and find a chalkboard now. But as far as I know, you're talking about like a whiteboard and things like that. Harlan, it was great to talk to you. Ecstatic that we were able to touch base and get you back, because last year during our 20th, I was trying to get a hold of as many people as I could and find out where they were. And fortunately enough, through the conference that we just had in Bakersfield, I was able to touch base with you and bring you back on Do the Math Again. So thank you once again for being part of the show and getting it off the ground.
Thank you. It's been great to reconnect.
All right. Have a great day. Once again, Harlan, long time ago right there. What did you think of the old man with the goatee and the hair and all that? That was pretty funny, huh? Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's pretty funny. Anyway, we'll have Uriah take a look at one more problem right after this.
My name is Sophie Darlington and I'm a wildlife camera woman.
Julie Monnier. I'm mainly a digital camera person, working with a material called Ronin, but also doing time lapses, and I'm also helping Sophie.
We're here part of the Disney film crew to make a feature film about Adelie penguins.
The film is about an adult who's going to become a dad for the first time and a struggle to raise 2 chicks until they can fledge and go to the sea.
It'll be the life cycle of an Adelie penguin, but that doesn't do the story justice. It'll be the most amazing comedy, drama, adventure, travel story you'll ever see. I've never seen or worked with an animal that has more charisma. They are natural film stars.
The Adelie penguins are very curious, but after a while, if you stay in one area, it's actually quite interesting. They start not caring about you and they kind of get used to you. But what really surprised me is how resilient those little guys are. It doesn't matter what the weather's going to be like, what the wind speed is going to be like, they're still going out at sea, getting some food, or in the colony feeding their chicks.
They're absolutely priceless. They don't know they're funny, but they are beyond funny. And you'll be sitting filming and suddenly, you know, a couple will hurtle past and fall over and they're so covered in down, you know, they just get right back up. They're the perfect subject for a Disney movie. What child would not fall in love with an Adelie penguin?
I love them.
There's a few challenges to working here, which I'm not particularly familiar with. I've worked in the Arctic, but the Antarctic gives you it's a whole new set of things to play with. Isn't it famous for being the windiest place on Earth?
Yeah, the 2 big challenges is really the wind and the cold. But you just have to put layers up and the wind is nothing you can do. It's just it's a killer.
Today it's beautiful, it's summer in Antarctica. It's gorgeous, the sun's out, the Adelies are all preening, it's fantastic. Within 20 minutes we can have a full-on storm here.
You can get really cold. We have to wear very thin gloves to be able to touch our equipment and to get a feel, to be able to focus.
There's so many challenges. And then there's the logistics. We're 70 miles from the nearest base.
First time you come here and you get a helicopter in Cape Crozier and then the helicopter goes, then it's you by yourself. And that's quite scary.
It's full of challenges, which makes it much more rewarding. It's an extraordinary and unreal reality. You wake up, you've got to prep your food for the day, you've got to melt your snow, you've got to charge your batteries, put on your generators. It's just a whole different way. You've got to change your mindset.
We do make a plan every morning about what we're going to be filming, and then we get here and the weather is going to do something very different. So it's always very difficult to know what you're going to be filming.
We can be here and this is going on, but 100 meters away you wouldn't even know it was happening. So it's a matter of sort of sussing out what's going on, what changes have happened.
We work about 9 to 10 hours a day. You could do 24 hours, obviously.
By the way, I'm thoroughly confused by this 24-hour daylight thing. I don't get it. You get up and it's light, you go to bed, it's light. If you wanted to, you could work yourself to the ground.
Our camp is way up the hill, and it takes about 40 minutes to hike up back to camp, which, you know, can be challenging when you're tired after a long day at work, but I think it's also very good that we're that far away from the colonies so we don't disturb them.
So we head up at around 10 or 11, home for midnight, spot a dinner, try and get to sleep, repeat.
National Science Foundation gave us the permission to come to Cape Crozier, which is a protected area, and we feel very privileged and lucky to be here.
You've no idea the amount of effort that goes into something like this, the months and months of planning. Getting us out here is such a huge operation because it's not just us, it's our tents, it's our fuel, it's our food, it's our gear.
Making a Disney nature film for children is very important for science.
And it's that hand in hand, science and wildlife filmmaking going together. So we're building and working on the research that's been done here for years. And without the National Science Foundation, we couldn't have done it.
I know a lot of people that would not like living in the cold, but I don't know anybody that wouldn't love working with penguins. All right, Uriah, a 6th grade student from Lakeside. So did you learn a little something today?
Yes.
I think you learned quite a bit today, and you actually made Scott pretty proud when you were like, oh, that's why we do it. That's why I'm here today, right?
I had no clue what that was.
Well, there you go. Now you can tell some of your other classmates when they're like, oh, I don't know why we do this or whatever, and then you can kind of help them out. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you did learn a little bit of something today. Did you have fun today?
Yes, it was very funny.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you were able to be on the program today, and because you learned something, there were a lot of other students that also learned something at the same time today. So you helped out a lot of students. Also, thank you to the host, Janessa and Brian from Youth Voice Amplified, and don't forget to check out that podcast. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.